Money on my mind, gotta hustle and grind. Financial literacy always on my mind. I'm stacking knowledge, no time to waste. Gotta invest smart, gotta keep up the pace. I'm reading books, learning all the tricks, studying the market, making calculated picks.
What is good, everybody? It's your boy Reckless Ray Dinero, and we are back at it again. First and foremost, as you enter the building, make sure you hit that like button. After you hit that like button, if you've been here more than twice, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And last but not least, since you've probably been here more than twice, hit that share button and share it to your community and the people that you care about. Let's jump right into the goodness. I just got my taxes done. Now, when this video posts, it might be sans a couple of weeks because this is obviously I pre-record these episodes for our bag talk. But I did my taxes. So I definitely wanted to do a breakdown this year because now we are officially in the space where I owe money every year. And with that said, it's like you got to start making the adjustments on my W-2 income because the income that I've added to my income obviously is not just W-2 income. It's not going to work income. My side hustle is my portfolio at this point, and it is printing money. So with that said, we closed out last year. We did our portfolio updates. We did our financial updates. I already made it very clear. I added $13,000 in dividends last year, the calendar year of 2024. Obviously, you got to pay taxes on that. Also sold a little bit of crypto off. We're doing some conversion for some Bitcoin stuff. So again, got to pay taxes for that, which totaled out to $15,000 in taxes, in additional income to what I would normally pay. Because normally I get my money back. If it's just W-2 income, I get all my money back. We're good to go. Dividends and crypto, obviously, you got capital gains tax. And then there are actually some tax loss harvesting, but you got to pay your capital gains tax. Dividend comes in as income, got to pay your income tax. We're going to break down exactly why I'm so excited, because I am. Like, we're jumping off the porch now. Like, this was a test run to see what the taxes would look like. Because when it comes to producing more income, you'll get those people, and generally those people are broke. And they're used to getting a return that they use to buy cars, rims, family vacations, whatever, other things besides assets. They're moving counter the way we move over here in the Wolf Pack on Future Financial Strategies. They're just not our people. They're not on the same vibe. And the first thing they tell you is, oh, you got to do that in your retirement account because you're going to have to pay taxes. You're going to have to pay more taxes. Well, the only reason I'm paying taxes is because I made more money. That's the cost of doing business. Like it was minuscule. I ended up owing $1,400. But you guys do the math on that. It's really not that much money. And it was only to the Fed, and I still got a check back from my home state of Kansas. It's great. Get a little bit of something as a compensation. I get a little bit of something, but overall, I owed $1,400 after the tax return from Kansas to the Fed, which is, it is what it is. I'm not necessarily the happiest about it, but I'm also not upset because that means I'm on the right path. Now I've proved out that this works. But we're going to talk about a couple of things. So first and foremost, I want to talk about what we were looking at in regards to what the average the median salary, because averages skew a little bit high, but median is a little bit closer to what the real people on the ground, the people that you see every day that aren't on YouTube, because apparently everybody on YouTube besides me makes six figures and they're all super duper rich, even though we never actually see their portfolios. We never see the receipts on the trades that they have. We never see whether they're up or down in a position on anything. It's kind of crazy. But, full disclosure over here as we're building, like, I show my receipts. So before we jump into the analytics software, because for everybody who is looking in these spaces, the analytics software doesn't give actual receipts. And I understand there's a lot of content creators out there and they use the excuse, I don't want to expose my portfolio. And I'm like, you have more money than I do. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's kind of weird. It's kind of cringy. Like I always show mine before we jump into the analytics software because the analytics software is literally for context. Otherwise, you can just manually add whatever you want in there and like the numbers don't match. Like you can't lie with math. It's just what it is. The crypto guys totally understand. But like your TradFi portfolio, like you can pull up your Charles Schwab account. It doesn't show your account number. It doesn't give away any of your identifying information. It's just weird to me. Like I don't necessarily 100% trust those channels or those content creators. I'm just saying, like if I ain't seeing no receipts, if I'm not seeing an account with actual money in it that actually exists, I'm not necessarily 100% buying it. Like I'm throwing on Kendrick Lamar. They not like us because they're not like us over here in the Wolfpack. We do transparency. We show the accounts. Okay, so that's one thing. But we incurred a tax burden this year, which is cool. It's a first, and I was expecting to pay more, and it's actually less. So I got a little bit of change coming back to me in the month of March when we pay it off. We're starting a payment plan, and there's a couple of, but I wanted to touch on some stuff because like, you know, I look at the median and the average. Normally the average and the median, they're pretty close. Average skews a little bit high. So the average income per the Bureau, the Bureau of Labor Statistics capped out at 62,000 and some change last year, which is cool. We beat that. The median though was for 2024 was 59,228. We beat that too, which is cool. Like I'm rocking with those numbers. So like, you know, I like to make sure that I'm ahead, not necessarily in general, because now that I'm taking my finances into my own responsibility, I'm not worried about what my W-2 income is. I'm worried about what I'm adding to my W-2 income, because that is my metric at this point. We're adding income into the W-2 income. We're trying to make sure we blow the roof off that. That's what we want to do. So every year we're trying to increase that income, because eventually, within hopefully 30 months is what we're projecting right now, we will be in a work optional state, which means that I will have made parity with my income and surpassed it by at least 2.5 times. Now, one of the things that I do that's a little bit different than other people, because like we track my savings with our financial updates every month. So it's known multiple months I am above 40% savings. Like I'm in there with those fire, I need to retire early and I'm going to go kick my feet up on a beach and then rot away, because that's actually what happens. You run into health problems if you just don't have anything to do every day and you're aimless. But I'm in league with them. Like we're between 40 and, like, while we're in turtle mode right now, we're hitting the 60s mark, which is cool, because my target is to be able to get to a point to where I'm at 50% consistently. And we're almost there. As we're moving forward with this portfolio, like one of my stretch goals for myself this year is to try to hit parity with my salary this year with my income portfolio, because then that will put me in the 50 mark, because once I get through all the debt cleared up that we got, because we're currently using that income portfolio to help machine gun down debt when we're not worried about our tax burden, because that becomes part of the debt. As we're machine gunning through those debt services that we have, after we get through that, I don't have a use for that money. Obviously, we're going to be buying a car, but outside of that, and we will have a use for it for a little bit at that point, but we will be predominantly just putting that money directly into reinvesting. So that's going to kick me into that 50% realm once the debt's cleared, because then I don't have, like, we're not creating debt. Like, I'm not sitting out here. You don't see me sitting up here in Gucci robes, Gucci sunglasses, whatever, trying to flex on YouTube to prove a point to people that I don't know, that I don't actually see as I talk in the corner of my room. So I don't have a need to do that. Like I keep my lifestyle at what it is. I get to do some pretty awesome stuff. I get to do things that I want to do. I get to get clothes that I want when I want them. But like, honestly, like, as I'm not over one of my key metrics, which is having $1 million in net worth that's liquid, and not liquid like cash in the bank before the trolls get on here and be like, you keep money in the bank, that's stupid. Like, no, like in stocks, Bitcoin, assets that aren't a house that you can easily liquidate without having to move somewhere else. Because like I like my house, I like living in here, and I'm not gonna necessarily have to eat my house. We will be playing with some HELOC, a couple of different strategies once this debt is cleared that I believe will be more efficient, that we'll be doing video updates and strategies on. But outside of that, I don't have a need to, flex for the sake of flexing. I don't want to live a lifestyle that's necessarily drawing attention. I'm not out here like peacocking for people. So I do the stuff that I want to do. I get to hang out with the people that I want to hang out with. And like when I'm at will to do things, I can do them. Like that's kind of the goal that I've set for myself. Like I don't look at money. I don't like flex on people that like they don't have a Gucci robe while they're sitting in their little box on YouTube. Like that's crazy. It's crazy to me, a little bit narcissistic, to be honest. Like it's just like, what are you talking about? Like nobody cares. And as somebody who does have multiple millionaires, billionaires that I have access to that are in my circle, like they actually don't navigate like that either. And I understand that the pushback on that will be, oh, you just don't do it around you. But like I spend a lot of time with these people, with other rich people, where nobody knows what anybody's stuff is. So it actually just in reality, like people don't do that. And like people that do, at least the group of wealthy men that I'm around, they don't like those guys. So, it's about figuring out what you want for your lifestyle. And I want a lifestyle of ability to, like, if I want to go get on a plane, I want the ability to not have to worry about my PTO requests not getting authorized or somebody allowing me to go on vacation. Ability to, I don't have to worry about my house. Like if I want to pay it off, I want to be able to ability to liquidate what I need to and be able to pay this off. I'm currently at a state to where like if I couldn't work anymore, my dividend portfolio pays for my house and the utilities. Like we're good there. So we've got a major expense taken care of. Like we're working on getting that phone bill taken. The phone bill can come out of there too at a certain point. We're getting ready to use those dividends starting in probably March, whenever it warms up, to start getting some improvements done around the place without having to liquidate the portfolio, because now we have an income machine and we can just use a little bit of that income and direct it towards getting these projects that I've got lined out fixed. That's going to be awesome. Also doing it with the income path using the high yield dividends, we're actually going to be able to space those things out to where we can actually get more of them done than what we saved up for, which is going to be also pretty awesome in my opinion. But one thing that you always want to know is where you're at on the board. So that's the reason I look into the median and the average incomes. I do look at those numbers every year just to see where my income gauges. Because even if I wasn't where I needed to be, I am worth more than most of those people. So that's going to be my next one. Let's look up average American net worth in 2024. So let's see here. Ooh, dang. Okay. Let's take a look here. So the average as of hold on. Let's see here. Where is that at? Let's take a look at the median net worth and okay. So median net worth by age. Now if you're all Americans, so all Americans, the median net worth was $176,000. $176,500. That's the median for all Americans. And we'll just go based on the on that figure. So that's the median. Now the average was way higher. It was like because you're factoring in billionaires and whatnot. The median is more close to what's on the street, like your neighbors, your lifestyle. So of all the people The median net worth, which is the middle of the road, is $176,500. Now that breaks out and differentiates by age. So for my age group, which is 35 to 44, it's $210,800. Now I beat both those numbers. I beat my age group. I beat the average, the median of all Americans, not the average, because the average was like 1.7 million. Like that's just insane. I'm not there yet. I'm not in the averages yet. We are still working our way out the muck. We're in the medians. Like I'm a little bit of a brokey, but I did beat the next age group up as well, which 45 to 54 was also $210,800. Beat them. Also beat the next age group up, which was 55 to 64, because we capped out at 285,000 for the end of 2024 by the calendar end. So that was cool. So we're in the median for ages 55 to 64, which is pretty cool. Now those figures included a home. Now that's including home equity. If you strip out home equity, because you have to sell your house to access that money. And this is the reason over here on Future Financial Strategies, we are focused on being liquid, which means you have assets that you have access to. We're not using retirement accounts. We're not using home equity. We're not prioritizing that, because what these people do is they go buy more house than they can afford. And then if you can't afford it anymore and you get your house foreclosed on, you lose both the equity and your home. Like now you got to move, or you got to move and short sell it. So like now you're not even tapping the equity that you had. So that is kind of a non-factor for me. Like I always factor it in, but it's not the majority of my net worth. It's not even over half. So I try to keep it below 50%. And that's just a me thing. It's a way that I navigate with money. I'm not saying that that's for everybody, but like the lifestyle that I want, I'm like, I want to know that I am wealthy versus having a home that's big and then saying that I'm wealthy because I ran the numbers and my house is worth a lot. So if you strip those out, the median for all Americans minus their home value is $60,000. If you strip out the home value, 70 to 74, you on your way out of here, minus your home value, are worth $150,400. I am worth more than all of these people because of the way that I chose to build my wealth. Like, that's crazy. The way your wealth is allocated matters. Now, factoring in your home value and having it be all your wealth might make you feel good, because you get to at least throw out that you have access to those numbers. But people who know math, there's like, you don't have access to that home. If you lose your job and need to tap your home equity, you can't. You have to have a verifiable source of income. Just throwing that out there. So like, your house isn't worth what you think it's worth, because if you need it, you can't liquidate it. Like, you can't get access to the liquidity, and the bank's actually chomping at the bit to take your home from you at that point. So something to think about. So like we went over those numbers, and now we're going to jump into topic of the show, which is 7 ways to lower your tax bill. Number 1 is taking advantage of tax credits. Now, me personally, this year when I filed, because I didn't have all of the I don't actually have like enough stuff to really do the itemized tax credit. So I took the standard tax deduction, which they kicked up a little bit. So like, it was nice. You get a little bit more every year. I like it. The standard deduction covered me in all the ways that I needed it to. And yeah, so that's one way that you can take advantage of your, like if you buy, like for instance, buying EVs, tax credit. They have like a tax credit incentive for that. Sometimes your local area will have energy efficiency tax credits for your home. Like you do an energy efficient upgrade, there's a credit there that'll reimburse you back on your taxes. You still got to pay full price up front, but at the end of the year, you can write that off, get the reimbursement, blobbity, 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 and you get to lower your taxable income or taxes that are due, because that actually doesn't even lower your taxable income. It goes against your taxes that are due. So like, you're going to owe, but you'll get the kickback for for the tax credits. But one of the ones that does lower your taxable income is doing the standard deduction, which I think this year was like $14,000 something, which was nice. It was, I think it was like 2,000 up from last year. I at least got a raise in that. Number 2 is saving for retirement. Now, your retirement funds, that's one of the only benefits that I see personally as somebody who's going to be, in a position to opt out of working within the next 30 months. Now, should I continue working? We're going to ratchet that up because I'm going to have a lot of taxable income at that point, and I'm not going to want to pay it all. So then you're starting to put money anywhere to just stop having to pay taxes. It is what it is. But your retirement savings is one of the strategies that I do believe if you're making a lot of money or you're worth a lot of money or you're building out your finances the way that I am, where you're going to retire early and you're doing it early enough to where like you're still going in for your W-2 or you're going to pick up W-2s for just extra spending money. Me personally, I am an odd, I mean, it might get to a point to where I'll do odd jobs, but like as long as I have like a decent job with insurance and like I can pick up some shifts and do some work, I'll work to have insurance coverage. Like if you got good health insurance and I can come in there and not really be responsible and just come in and go to work and just do a really good job, it's probably better than most of the people I work with. But be able to go do that, get some insurance and have that coverage as I'm bouncing around whenever I come back to the States for the time that I'm here. So I have something to do. That'd be cool. Maybe doing some Ubering or something, but like you don't have a retirement savings need to where you can lower your taxable income with that, but you do have some different write-offs doing side gig work. But that's one of the only times that I'm advocating for, use your 401k. Like if you are in a point to where you're about to move up a tax bracket, you're at the top end of the tax bracket, I'm like, use all the tax breaks you can, like start using that 401k to start saving then. But like as far as using that and believing that that should be the priority versus building up your portfolio, I'm like, well, if you're planning on working until you're 70 or you want to work till you're 70 and you're just going to grind it out, then go ahead and do that. The issue is you still got to worry about losing your job. Most people do the bare minimum on that. And so like you're doing your 401k and you're believing in that, but then like you lose your job and now you don't have access to that money. And then like if you do need it, you do cash it out. Like now you got to pay extra taxes and penalties. Like it seems like a racket to me with the exception of lowering your taxable income. So that's a good one. Save for retirement, lower your taxable income. It's one of the ones I use. I'm not saying that it doesn't have its place, but as a tool for somebody who, if you're using that and believing in it in the sense of like, oh, I'm really going to utilize this thing, then you're also going under the understanding that like you're planning on working until you're 70. Like, and that's fine if that's what you want to do. I'm not doing it. So for the people who are trying to retire early, fire movement people, anyone who is trying to like have to be in the workforce, having the majority of your net worth tied up in your retirement is in fact insane to me. Like we did the video either a week or 2 weeks ago. Actually, it's a week ago. Last week's video was on the middle class trap specifically. And that's one of the shackles is having all of your net worth tied up in your house. The second shackle is having your net worth, the other half of your net worth predominantly tied up in your retirement. Now you can't leave. You don't have access to those funds. Either side. Like you're basically trapped. You're worth a lot of money, but you have to go to this job. You have to ask if you can get off. You have to deal with whatever jerk boss you have to answer to. You're trapped there. That benefits them. It does not benefit you. Like it benefits you when you're 70. And that's the reason people quit working, turn 65, 59, 70, whatever age they're letting you leave now. And A, they can't afford to, most of you. And B, they're so burnt out and spent and demoralized and destroyed spiritually that they get to enjoy that money for like a couple of years and then they croak. Like who's trying to do that? It sounds terrible. So we're on a different vibe over here. I want you to work optional as soon as possible, so that way like you don't have to sacrifice your soul because you don't have money coming in. You can't afford to leave. Like we ain't doing that. Number 3 is contribute to your HSA. Now, we all know that old Ray Bear started on this strategy back in 2024. And you know what happened? I had a grievous injury and had to pay that high deductible out of pocket. Yes, sir. So this year, because I knew I was going to be starting to pay taxes, I went ahead and I'm still staying with the HSA and the high deductible. And why am I doing that? Because an HSA is a more functional, in my opinion, 401k that you don't have to necessarily, like, you don't have to, because like I don't draw it out, but like health expenses happen all the time. So like what I'm trying to do is kind of build up a portfolio that's going to be growing, and that'll grow with me. And that way, even if I leave the job, I leave the States, it'll always be here. If I come back and need to get something done, boom, the HSA is there. I can get on whatever health plan is available whenever I'm here, and I'm on that for that little bit of time. I can use the HSA for that. It also functions for elderly care later in life. And then at a certain point, they just let you start pulling it out just like you would a 401k. It just seems more functional for me. So this year, we're maxing out the contribution. That's correct. I did that first thing. As soon as I got our stuff set up for our benefits this year, I set that to the max. And I'll probably be paying it off a little bit early so I can get some of that money back. Another benefit of having this extra amount of side income. But so that way I can start getting some of that money into the market. And yeah, we're going to just try and not hurt ourselves for a year or two. We could go like another year or two without a grievous injury. Like that would be great. But yeah, the HSA, I'm a big fan of that. I love that strategy. When I found out that you could invest those funds after you get to a certain point, I became elated and giddy. I was excited about it. So that's one of the strategies that we are heavily utilizing this year. We went ahead and took that max deduction, which drops me down another, it's like, what is it, like 4,400 off the clip, which is nice because our income's going to be more than $15,000 this year because we're going to have a whole full year. Like last year, that was, I think, 10 months that we had. Maybe it was between 8 and 10 months. And that was the income. So this year, I've already seen the projections. We are well over 20. So we're going to be running those numbers up again this year. We're reinvesting a little bit in those portfolios. We've had 2 solid months of hardcore reinvestment. So there's also that. And yeah, I'm just really excited about that strategy, and kicking in the HSA is going to help us keep curbing that taxable income down. Number 4, set up a college savings fund for your kids. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe you could do this early. And I don't know how that travels, but that might be something to consider even if you don't have kids yet. You can start that early and just have it sitting there, like that could be cool as well. I don't fall into this category. So like, I haven't really looked into it for myself, but I know that is something that is pretty efficient for people to do, especially if you have kids that you're intending on goading into going to college. The one caveat that I would say is I know you get a tax benefit. So this is like pre-tax, college savings, but I would prefer to do that outside of this. So that way, should they choose a different path or want to get into like maybe a trade or something like that, you have a way to where you can still implement your value set and give them that money and have them set up. Like my principle is I'm trying, at least with the great nieces and nephews, I'm trying to make sure that the family legacy across the entire family, not just like my direct descendants. Like that's one of the things that kind of weirds me out about people. It's kind of cringy, but I look at it from a macro view. I look at the entire family, and I want that standard to be like when you're released into the wild, when you turn 18, if you decide to like go out into the world on your own at whatever point that is, you have a portfolio that you understand, you know how to manage, and you know how it works. You're financially literate and you have a foundation that you're starting on. So that way you're releasing into society a generation that isn't living in a state of desperation out the gate. Because I've been through it. It's just like, oh, I gotta have this job. Like, I don't know any other way to make money. I just gotta go to work. I gotta go to work for some jerk off that I don't want to work for, or I gotta be in this job that I don't like, or I gotta tolerate people talking to you any kind of way. And I'm like, like, I'd rather just, if I would have just been financially literate off the start and had some semblance of a foundation and knew how to manipulate that and be like, yo, you've got X amount of income coming in. You can work this portfolio. You can set it up this way. Like, you can start building towards this now. And then you're going to work to feed the machine. You're never going to have to be in debt. You will know how debt works. And I would rather do that than the college savings fund. But then again, if you're a high salary W-2 employee, then like you're probably going to have to use all of these. Like, you're going to need to use all these things. So that way you're lowering that taxable income. 5, make charitable contributions. Yes. I mean, I would highly recommend getting networked in and doing your research, because some of these charitable foundations, you're just giving money to a rich person for a tax write-off so that they can just continue to be rich and buy boats, and the money doesn't actually get to anybody, and then the next thing you know, you're buying somebody's homie a mansion. I don't know. I'm just saying that, like, you should research, but definitely if you're in a position to give, reinvesting in your community, regardless of whether it's monetary, I think giving time actually matters a lot more. Like, if you're financially literate, teaching somebody else who is seeking that knowledge and giving them a shot to be financially literate is actually more important than just giving money to some charitable organization. But when you give or donate goods or charity stuff, you get a tax write-off for that. So that's the incentive to get people to, it's like a weird money cycle. I don't know. But if you're trying to lower your taxable income, that's one of the ways to do it. Number 6, this is one that I did use this year smartly. Harvesting investment losses. Now, I did do that at the end of the year, my underperforming when I retconned my portfolio and condensed down into Misty. All tax loss harvesting. We did a culling of tax loss harvesting at the end of the year, which is nice. I mean, I think it actually offset some of my dividend income, which was nice. It was good. It was good. Also, one of the other perks of high yield dividends is not everything is qualified as a dividend. Like, there is a lot of return of capital on some of those months, especially if the prices are running up. You'll get a pretty healthy dividend, and they'll return some of the capital to trim the price down, which is nice, because I didn't get hit flat out for all of that as dividends. The entire $13,000, it wasn't all dividends, which was really good because they don't tax you on return of capital. So like, like, it became something that was advantaged as well, which is cool. Like, I'm okay with that. And last but not least is number 7, maximize your business expenses. Now, if you're really trying to not have to pay income taxes, you need to get an LLC set up. I mean, I'm almost to the point where I'm going to want to get an LLC set up when I find something that either the channel gets monetized or something to where we can finagle that into a business, or I find something that I want to do as like a little side gig, like, I don't know, consulting or something. And, getting your tax write-offs from that, and then that will offset your W-2 income. So those are the 7 options. But I'm not going to leave you. We're starting to do this thing where we go find a random short to look at, and I'm going to go ahead and bring this to the screen. It's Kevin O'Leary, and he is talking about taxes. So, like, it's on par with the brand. We're going to do a little short that's based on every video that we do from now on, just a random one. So, like, let's get it and see what Kevin Leary got to say.
The biggest mistake you can make in your life is to worry about taxes. The fact that you have to worry about taxes is a wonderful thing. It means you're making money. But to say, oh, I don't want to sell stock that's now 11% of my portfolio because I don't want to take the tax hit, you will pay a brutal price for that. You will have a massive correction. You won't have taken any gains. I never let one asset class ever become more than 20% of my net worth. No sector more than 20%, no stock more than 5%. So if that asset class really has a hard time, it can't take you out of business. The discipline is every 90 days, trim back anything over 5% and put it into something else. You give up some of the upside, but when the correction hits, like Tesla goes down 38%, you don't take the full hit because you've taken profit out on the trimming. The biggest mistake.
Ooh, I really like this. I like this. Okay, so I'm with him. This is going to be an interesting one. I like this, but it's not the way my portfolio is set up. So there's a yin and a yang here, but I really like this. And there's a perspective and a reason that I like it so much. It's because Kevin O'Leary is so far ahead of where I am that the perspective that he's speaking from, and I'm sure this works because like the law of numbers, it's different when they're larger. But I'm sure this across the board, this perspective would work if you just took this bit of advice and just ran with it. Do I think it's as efficient or as efficacious as what I'm currently doing? No, I don't. But that's because I'm trying to move into a different space. Like I'm probably not going to necessarily get to where Kevin O'Leary does unless something magical happens along this journey. But like, what I'm doing is going to put me generationally ahead of basically everybody in my family by a long margin for a long time. And it's going to be a catalyst that's going to affect and change the way that the family dynamic works in my family, which is the goal. That's what I am. I'm a human sacrifice for my family so that way that we can stop just being people who work hard and be people who work hard and like have something to show for it and move efficiently when it comes to money. But I'm gonna actually go back through this and I'll just pause it at the parts to break it down.
Mistake you can make in your life is to worry about taxes. The fact that you have to worry about taxes is a wonderful thing. It means you're making money.
Okay, so that's the first part. So yes, worrying about taxes totally makes, yes, I'm happy I had a tax bill this year. I made money last year. I made more money than I normally made because as a W-2 employee, when I'm just working my W-2 job, I get money back if that's all I do. But I made so much money that I brought in an additional tax burden and I had to pay that. And I'm happily paying it with the asset that I made. Because a lot of people just make money and then they go buy things, got nothing to show for it. And it's then they have to pay taxes and then they're upset. It's because you're not good with money. You don't know how money works or you can't set aside your tax burden. It's one of those things. The way that I made my money is another reason that I'm excited because I didn't just go get another W-2 job to make $15,000. Like I plug in, play with stocks once a week for a couple hours and made $15,000 in under a year. Like it's a different level of work. Like I didn't go bust my body for that like I do every day at my regular job. The other benefit of that is I have tax write-offs that go against that specific income, which is awesome. Tax loss harvesting. I have a skill that I have a hack that goes against that to counterbalance it. I got like an offset a little bit. Also, dividends aren't taxed at the same rate or as high as what I currently make at my W-2 job. So me making $15,000 more dollars at my job, I would have paid more in taxes because there's some benefits. So it's how the money's coming in that also matters. With my crypto, same deal. Capital gains, capital losses. But it's still not as high as what I pay when I make money on my W-2. So I'm not making money the same as the rest of y'all now. Now the money's coming in different. The taxes are different, which is cool. Slower. So that's actually a benefit. So I'm fine paying a lower tax on money that I have 100% access to. I just got to remember at the end of the year, I'm going to have to pay some of this back. Way better scenario for me. I'm in control of 100% of that money. I can reallocate it as I see fit. If I'm a good capital allocator, then guess what? Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. Like, we're funding multiple portfolios. We bought Bitcoin with that money. We bought MicroStrategy stock. Oh, also, we hit our goal for 2024 of getting those first 10 shares. We did that too. So we're making moves that are progressing us forward, that's making the money, the income's coming in, turning it into dividend income, turning that dividend income into assets, or paying off debt, because that's guaranteed. When I'm not an advocate for dumping my entire portfolio to pay off the debt, though. And one of the things that we saw is rolling into 2025, my income portfolio, well, not just my income portfolio, but my portfolios in general have eclipsed what the debt is. So now they're growing beyond the debt. So I'm beating out the interest. And like, we made some strategic moves to get some of that money and some of those funds kicked over into a 0% state for like a little over a year. So we got a chunk of that. We've got 2 chunks that we're still fighting to pay down, but we're focused now. And after we start paying these taxes back now, we're back on like Donkey Kong. Like, we're gonna have a little bit of money on the side set aside to reinvest every month to keep these portfolios going. But that aside, we're back on the train. Like, we're starting back up full bore. March, we're going to have a chunk of money that's going to be shooting over into the dividends, or not into the dividends, to knock out some of this debt. Like, we're ready to go again. Like, I can turn my Cash App play back on. We can start tapping that money and making these big chunk payments to knock this debt out. And like, I'm excited about it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really giddy. I'm so excited about it. It's gonna be so good. And while we're doing that, we're gonna continue building the portfolio. There's gonna be continued reinvestment, and we're gonna keep going with it. Let's move on to the next point, because I done had a brain freeze, but I think that was the end of my rant for that. But obviously, making money and having to pay a little bit more tax is a good thing, as long as the money's coming in the appropriate way, which is his next point.
But to say, oh, I don't want to sell stock that's now 11% of my portfolio because I don't want to take the tax hit, you will pay a brutal price for that. You will have a massive correction. You won't have taken any gains. I never let one asset class ever become.
Okay, so hold on. Let me scroll this back a little bit. Okay, so that is a truism in a certain sense. Now, if you're in a play and you're going, hey, I'm gonna be in this play for decades, this is what I'm building my foundation on, such as me with Bitcoin, I'm planning on never selling it. I don't know, man. I don't agree with that. And it's probably because, like, I'm betting the farm on this one thing. All my portfolios are based on this one thing. Like, I am highly convicted. And with that said, it's like, I've bet the farm on this because I know I could go make this money back. There's going to be some other stuff filtered in, but like, my world investing wise revolves around Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and basically that. Like, we're starting to get into some other stuff a little bit. I got a little bit of Palantir, but every single other holding that I have is crypto related. So like, even in my brokerage account, it's all crypto related. So I am very much overextended, over leveraged, over believing in Bitcoin and the future that is crypto. And it is well over 11% of my portfolio in that sense. Like, so I don't do that, but I do understand the taking profits. And so he's going to talk about that here in a little bit, and we'll jump back in then.
I never let one asset class ever become more than 20% of my net worth. No sector more than 20%, no stock more than 5%.
I do not do that. I mean, I like it from a strategic perspective. And, once I'm a multimillionaire and I got to diversify out because I'm focusing on not losing money, I will probably do something very similar to this just as the natural course of things. But as I'm building, laser focus, because that's where the results are. Like if you take somebody who just wants to just diversify out and just scatter blast their investments starting out and you're not already rich, I think that this could become a hindrance, because when Bitcoin goes up over 100% every year and then you have some fall off, but you're trimming it the whole time, like, and it's a finite asset, like, I don't know, because like the corrections do happen and I'm fine with it because I'm going, like, I'm gonna be able to borrow against this. Like, I'm never gonna sell this. Now, my traditional finance stuff, I am not like that with necessarily. Like, those positions, I'm like at 100%, I am clipping to enroll that into the next whatever it is. And then I'll let the house money ride because I don't like to lose my money. But like when it comes to like my stalwart long-term holds, I am not moved to sell those. Like my micro strategies, or well, not even my strategy stock now, updated name, I have no intent of selling that unless it's needed, because everything should be coming out of that income portfolio to cover my stuff. My stock portfolio at that point, I'm building that indefinitely as a buffer, and I will sell that before I sell my Bitcoin or my crypto. But the goal is between the income portfolio and my long-term holdings portfolio, as those portfolios grow in tandem, because obviously as the income grows, we're reinvesting both in the income and taking that and splitting it up with the stocks in the long-term portfolio. Those two portfolios should last me indefinitely after a certain point. Now, my long-term holding portfolio is baby small right now, and it just is what it is because everything's in crypto. And again, well over 20% of my net worth. It's most of my net worth. My stocks, those positions are what they are, and like they're dispersed accordingly. But now that we're shifting and I'm getting ready to do an update video, so you guys got to stay tuned. I'm updating my strategy. So we got some new offerings, and we're going to be doing a new breakdown of like how we're going to be saving up for that. And so it's going to be interesting. I'm excited about it. It's all good stuff, but it's like I'm hyper focused because I'm not at the mountaintop that O'Leary is. He's got a whole different perspective because he's dealing with a whole lot more money. So like he doesn't want to take those necessary 40%, 60% dips on Bitcoin. Like that sucks if you got like millions of dollars of Bitcoin. Like I have hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like I'm over six figures in Bitcoin, and like those dips, those numbers start getting, the law of large numbers starts taking over after you get to a certain point, and like the hit is just different. And you definitely wouldn't want to have millions of dollars in one thing, in my opinion. Like for him, it makes sense. For me, as I'm trying to get to where he's at, it does not make sense because I need to be stalwart focused. I need to have the biggest bang for the buck and the most efficiency over time. Bitcoin's the best performing asset that's ever been made. So for me, that's an easy no-brainer bet. I'm like, yeah, are all the products around it volatile? Absolutely. But within the stock space, you want that volatility. That's how money's made. That's how your option traders generate income. We're putting ourselves in position. It just is what it is. Like I have no qualms about getting in position on those things and riding it out. Like I'll ride those dips out because I've done it with Bitcoin. Like I've already done it in the crypto space. I've lost tons of money in the crypto space. Like I've lost more than most people make in the crypto space. Like I'm fine about it. It's important to me that I get to the finish line. I don't care how I look on the way. Like I'll care how I look once we get to the finish line and we get to the mountaintop and we got a 5 million under the belt, then like, yeah, we're going to probably be doing something similar to this, where we'll be in there like a little bit more meticulous with the positionings, and like our portfolio is probably going to look a little bit different. Like we'll probably honestly be stacking it with a lot of different types of ETFs. The income portfolio, we're probably still going to have some high yield in ETFs in there, but we're also going to have some slow roly polies in there, and we're going to just be making that portfolio more and more stable as we go. And that's going to be the goal, is to like, you got to get to where you're going, and then you got to make it manageable. Like right now we're managing on the way up and high volatility. So like dealing with boring stuff really won't be that much of a problem, because everything that we have right now, that portfolio is all over the place because it's generating money. It's just what it is. Let's keep it rolling.
So if that asset class really has a hard time, it can't take you out of business. The discipline is every 90 days, trim back anything over 5% and put it into something else.
Now, see, he's trimming at anything over 5%. I'm in the 50 to 100% range. Sometimes 30% if the market's not doing well. But I normally wait, especially with my crypto-related assets. I'm waiting. I will ride those rides, and I'll wait until it gets 80% or above before I trim it into the next position. And usually, if I think it's going to do 100%, if it's like during the bull run right now, all my crypto plays, everything that I have that's crypto play, I'm like, yo, 100%. At 100%, I will start concerning myself with, hey, I need to get one of these out of here and roll it in the next position. And like, we've already broke 100% with DEFTF, DeFi Technologies. We hit 100%. We rolled that in, and it's God, I forgot the ticker symbol for it, but it's the Sol Technologies variant, and which is doing exactly what Strategy is doing with Bitcoin, but with Solana. Rolled it into that position, and like that position, we're waiting for it to hit 100, and we're gonna roll that out too. And then I'm gonna be left with 250 shares of both that are house money, because I've already pulled all my I pulled my money out of it and moved it into the next position. And then you just keep waterfalling it like that, and then to see where it takes you, because we've got a little bit of DeFi technologies still to sell off. And if we open up tomorrow, or well, not tomorrow, if we open up the next time it opens up and we're at about 80+%, I'm going to clip out whatever the excess that I have, which is actually going to be pure profit, to clip that down to 250, because that was the deal that I made. Buy 100 shares, clip it at 100%, bring it down, or buy 500 shares, clip it at 100%, bring it down to 250, roll that into the next position, and rinse and repeat. And we're almost to the point to where we're watching the Sol strategies, because that one is volatile too, along with Solana. So like the next time Solana gets up to around 250, once we break 250 again, I'm pretty sure we'll be at 100, because like it touched 100 and I just missed it and didn't get the trade in time. But it's up there. It's up there when the price is up. Solana is down bad right now. Once it gets up above 250 again, we're going to be looking to clip and roll that. And that's going to happen this year. Like that's not a doubt for me. And honestly, with where it is right now and where I think Solana is going to go this bull run, I'm considering on the Solana strategy, on the Sol strategy stock, buying an additional 500 shares. Like I might do that, or put a little bit that profit from DeFi technologies into Sol strategies, and just getting that extra kicker on it. But that's the way that I roll stocks, and it's a personal thing. I learned it and started doing that in crypto. And since these stocks are crypto related and highly volatile and shoot up and run down all the time, I'm going to continue that process with those stocks, because they have the ability to do that. I don't necessarily think every stock has the ability to do that, and I understand why you would want to constantly be rolling every 11%, because then you can constantly be buying into something else. But me personally, I'm so highly focused that the something else is still in the sector. So if Bitcoin does bad, all my stocks do bad anyway. So that doesn't benefit me. I'm like, Bitcoin, we're swinging for fences every play. So it's long term and we're swinging for the fence. So that's just the way I do it. So let's keep it rolling.
You give up some of the upside, but when the correction hits, like Tesla goes down 38%, you don't take the full hit because you've taken profit out on the trimming.
Now, see, as a blue collar brokey, I'm constantly dollar cost averaging. So when Tesla takes the full hit and goes down 38%, I am buying. And generally, I'll buy extra during the downturn on something that I'm very long and convicted on. So I'm buying my average down also. But he's taught looking at it from a business perspective, which makes sense because he is investing as a business. And that's the thing that people don't understand. I think you should manage your finances like a business as well. But like, you got to understand, for him, he's like, yo, like a 38% hit can knock your hedge fund out. A short squeeze, if you're trying to short to generate income, can take your hedge fund out. It's a little bit different for people that are trying to get to and establish wealth. I think that people get wealthy by focusing. They stay wealthy by diversification. And I'll stand by that. Like, I don't know anyone who was like, yo, and I'm around a bunch of, like I said, I'm around a bunch of multimillionaires up to a billionaire. And like, none of them were like, yeah, it's my diversified portfolio. I invest in the S&P 500. And now I'm a billionaire. Never seen that. Never seen a multimillionaire that did that. They were like, they were either a high income earner and they invested a lot of their money and they bought property and they did some other stuff and they figured out a way to generate some additional income, or got an interest in the business and the business sold and then they got their payday, or they built a business and got their payday. It's something very focused. So for me, if I'm not building a business, then I have to manage my finances like a business. And if I'm going to get to $1 million based on my investment prowess, it has to be focused. Once you're rich, once I'm rich, then diversification will come into a conversation because I'm not going to want to lose it either. And then law of large numbers, it's like, yo, if I only make 20% on $1 million, then that's a lot of money. And I can live off that. If I'm only making 5% on $1 million, hold on, let's see what that look like. What 5% on $1 million look like? What it look like? Oh goodness, let me get my calculator out. $1 million times 0.05. That's $50,000. I mean, I wouldn't want to live on that, but it's still a lot of money, you know. And then you factor in a chunk of that's going to be the income portfolio, and it's going to be generated. So I'm not going to be selling off assets. Also, as we're continuing to buy Bitcoin, that's another factor because Bitcoin goes up more than 20%. So, you know, if you're in an asset class that's completely destroying every other asset, outpacing inflation, everything that's touching it is basically gold strategy. You know, I have conviction in that. Like, I believe in the space that much. And like, as we're hitting certain metrics, we are adding in stuff. Like, I got Palantir. I got not as much conviction as I have in any of my Bitcoin or crypto stuff, but I got some conviction in Palantir. So we're gonna be adding to that position, even though it's up a lot. I got 3 shares when it was low. I wish I had bought more, but like, I got my 3 shares. I was trying to get 10 of that too, and it just didn't work out that way. But we're gonna let it do what it does, and I think that there's still some steam on it, so we're gonna do that. And then if that plays out, then it's like, yo, like we'll do the same thing with that. Like, we'll cut and reposition and wait for a pullback. But yeah, as we go along, I'll be adding some more positions that are going to be long term in the long term holding stuff that's not going to be crypto. But for the bull run, baby, all crypto all day. I hope you guys have had a great time, and I hope you guys got some value out of this. We will be back at it again next week. You'll see us every Thursday. If you don't, check on me because something's happened. No, I was joking. Some Thursdays I get behind, but we shouldn't be behind anytime soon because I'm going to be well ahead with these pre-records. Hope you guys have had a great time. Definitely hit that like button if you haven't yet. If you've gotten value out of this, definitely share it with friends and family or anyone that you care about or anyone that you think is on the same wavelength that we are over here in the Wolf Pack, because we're not trying to get rich by ourselves, and you shouldn't either. We we'll see you next week. Till next week, it's your boy Reckless Red and Arrow, and I'm out. Peace.
Money on my mind, yeah. Focus, got no time for games, nah. I don't play it, I'm all about that financial literacy. Investing in my future, building generational wealth. Dollar bills, they be calling my name, but I ain't chasing fame, I'm chasing change. Learn the game, now I'm playing it smart. Putting my money to work, it's an art. I'm stacking paper, building my own empire. No more living check to check, I'm getting higher. Investing in stocks, real estate, and more. Gotta secure the bag, that's what I came for.